This episode of Bonfireside Chat is brought to you by Audible.com. In order to get a free audiobook download, go to audibletrial.com/bonfireside chat. There I recommend you pick up such books as Albert Camus' The Plague, Joshton's Plague Busters, Kid and Plague and Bubonic Blitz, written by Kid, foreword by Plague, Hate the Game Not the Plaguer by Shinji, or Child's Plague, How One Little Typo Destroyed Gaming's Most Beloved Charity, written by the Horde Commission.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Kole Ross.
And I'm Dennis Furia.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat. It is an undead favorite.
And for this episode, we are talking about World 5-1 of Demon's Souls. And as you heard, we're joined by Dennis Furia of The Level. Hey, Dennis, thank you for joining us.
Hey, good to be here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be on. I spend a lot of time listening to this show, so.
Yeah. No, I'm very, very happy to have you here because I know, A, that you played Demon's Souls before all of us. And,
yes.
and all of us here presently, and B, I know that the Valley of Defilement, it was your Waterloo for your first attempt at the game, right?
Yeah,
Do you mean the Bengals Waterloo or the Napoleon Waterloo? Like,
I think I mean the Napoleon Waterloo. It was his undoing. It's what made him. It's what stopped his charge.
Yeah. Strangely, I got to join you guys for the Duke's Archives, and so now I've done both of the places in each game that kind of broke me. Mm-hmm. So there's a theme here. We'll have to figure out what that is in Dark Souls 2. But whenever I throw my controller, I'm like, I'm done! I call Kole and be like, okay, so whenever you guys get to X level.
I'm embarrassed. I actually think Waterloo's an ABBA song.
Oh.
So I was thinking Vacation.
Yes, you were thinking of Vacation. Yeah. Which is that's kind of like one of those, the one I love songs.
Oh, yeah.
If you pay attention to the lyrics, it's really depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I could have said like the Bill and Ted version of Waterloo. Oh. Isn't that the name of the water park they bring Napoleon to?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is great.
God, Bill and Ted is such a good movie.
Yeah. Good job, William S. Preston Esquire.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I knew that Dennis had played this before us, and I think the Duke's Archive is probably a more like a rarer stopping point for people in Dark Souls than this is in Demon's Souls. I think this is the infamous kind of, the infamous gigantic pile of liquid human waste for this edition of Souls games.
It is a literal world of shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is everything unclean flows here, I think is in the Archstone description for the second part.
Yeah.
And that is true. What did we do last time, Kole?
So previously, we shot down a giant manta ray that was the size of the mothership from Independence Day, or ID4 as it is called, clearing the Shrine of Storms of its archdemon. And now we set our sights on the Valley of Defilement, that extra stinky archstone over in the corner.
Yeah, the archstone that nobody likes.
Yeah.
The
archstone that's from Circumstances.
Yeah. Even though this was, we talked a little bit in the last episode about the church's kind of take on this,
mm-hmm.
and when you rescue Smiley Joe,
Mumbly Joe,
yeah, when you rescue Mumbly Priesty, when you rescue Monsignor what's his head. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name.
Saint Urbain.
Saint Urbain, there we are. When you rescue Saint Urbain, this is like his favorite topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like he loves talking Valley,
mm-hmm.
and just about the different heroes and saints that have gone here. It's also the area kind of associated with it, upgrade wise. This is where you're going to find all kinds of upgrade materials for holy weapons. You find the holy mace. You find so it's interesting. Like this is an area for pilgrimage,
mm-hmm.
and feces and urine. So yeah.
This is like it's a mission, right? It's like it's like any other kind of third world area. Like they straight up say, like in the Saints' garb, that that you find here, like the saints use this for holy works, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I think of it. Like, yeah, exactly. Just like a really forgotten and awful corner of, Africa or South America or something where,
Yeah.
like definitely like third world, Sally Struthers commercial,
Yeah.
3 a.m. kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the judging by the reception you get here, I don't know exactly what Holy Works is. They don't seem too happy to see people coming in as crusaders here.
Well, there actually is a little bit of lore behind that. So, I mean, it's established that Estrella came here in order to help out, and then so offended that the god that she worshipped would let this place exist, she took in a demon's soul, and now everybody here, like the depraved ones, are going after intruders in order to get their souls and then take them to her for healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And so like Urbane is kind of in denial about this. He says that there are, all kinds of knights who have gone to search for this and just straight up says, "Oh, she didn't turn over, to evil."
Yeah, she never would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Urbane's clueless.
Yeah.
Like Urbane doesn't know shit about anything.
And his reason is that Garl Vinland is there to guide her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little sexist. The fact that she has this knight with her means she's uncorruptible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
But that sets up the hostility of the people, the hostility of the environment is kind of why everybody's here, right?
Yeah, I mean, the why would anyone live here question that's just kind of pervades the Souls games.
Yeah, it's downwind of the entire kingdom, right?
Yeah. It's just that like God just released a blood fart onto this land and just collected into the air, and everyone's got suffering from fart long, and it just
fart long.
Fart long. That's what I said. Fart. Everyone's suffering from fart long, which is a secret character in Street Fighter 2. If you collected the April Fool's Day 1993 edition of EGM.
So it's Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Deluxe Edition, but not the Special Champion Deluxe Plus Edition. You have to get a score of 69, and then fart long unlocks.
It's Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, Deluxe. So, yeah. But do we want to talk about the babies here, or do we want to save that for the ultra tragic 5-3?
Oh, for when the baby is like, because we don't actually run into ones that are running into you here.
Yeah.
But
just like this is like the place where stuff that wants to be forgotten goes.
Yeah, It's worth noting you don't see any children,
right?
At the for the stage and next stage. Mm-hmm. So we will talk about that in 5-3 because it ties more into her directly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when did they first mention the kids though? Is it in one of the Archstone descriptions?
I believe so. Yeah.
The merchant we run into here, and we'll talk about her in a minute, talks about her kid, who she still has with her, and who is notably dead. Mm-hmm. So you run into one child that has already kind of escaped this fate through the the worst possible way. But yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So this is So I guess I don't want to say the first area. I always have that temptation to say first area when it's really not, but it is another area that really emphasizes the environment being, the problem. The enemies are nasty, and some of them hit very hard, but mostly it's about navigating those enemies while also navigating these rickety platforms and tiny wooden bridges.
Yeah, the depraved ones are definitely working in concert with these narrow walkways, to directly just kind of conspire against you. Right. Yeah. And everything this area is made of poison and falls.
Yeah. I mean, I don't end up getting poisoned in this first area just yet.
Oh yeah.
Very much. But that's definitely coming in a big bad way. And when it does come in this area, it's fucking obnoxious. Even though
oh my God.
On replaying it this time, it's a little kinder than I remembered it.
Yeah.
Being just because of where it's located, but it's still obnoxious. Mm-hmm. It's hard to. So one thing it's raining here, and it's hard just to see. Like there's so much clutter visually, like making out what's a path and what is a wall or what's just decorative filth is really really difficult for me. The path forward is not always obvious.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with the falls. I've found, at least initially. Everything looks about 3 times more rickety and dangerous than it actually is. So the platforms that you're walking on, even the safe ones, all have like holes and gaps in them. And some of those you can fall through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it has to do with the color palette, honestly, the color palette and the geometry. So probably some of the areas in Latria are darker than this, but there is a certain geometric precision to what happens there that you're not going to find here. Everything in the Valley of Defilement kind of has this weird mesh to it, uneven surfaces and things, and, you know, something that looks like a deadly fall will actually just be, you know, your step down onto another rickety walkway, and stuff that looks like a certain, you know, like, hey, this floor is good, will drop you down just because of that weird lighting issue.
Yeah. Well, it's not just lighting. Like there's also contrast.
Yeah, I suppose that's what
in
I mean,
Latria,
yeah.
which there isn't contrast here. Like everything is the same color as the background, whereas Latria is darker than Wet Black Velvet, but your pathway is always lit up.
Yeah, everything here is kind of at the same like saturation and luminance value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same shit color.
Yeah, same shit, different day. Same shit, same day.
Yeah, that stain really tied the room together.
And that's the Valley of Defilement promise.
Yeah.
Or your shit is free. But yeah, and so you've got in the notes here, like you move up initially through this level, which is what I thought I was going to be doing at first, but they kind of start you in this weird little cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Where you start out, which is odd.
Yeah. They give you a lotus here, which is real nice, but the apparent way forward gives you kind of an eagle's eye view of the entire area. You know, or at least seeing that there is a descending pathway, but there's no way down from here. So counterintuitively, you have to go up to go down.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you go up, you go down.
Yeah.
And then you start running into these depraved ones, which are, I guess this is just what people are when they live here.
Right.
You know, just from living in this world of shit has kind of mutated them and goblinized them.
Yeah.
And,
they look like Silent Hill, like plague doctors. They kind of have that weird bandagey, leathery skin to them, and they have these very pronounced snoots.
Yeah.
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 And they've all got their tongues hanging out.
Yep.
Which you don't really notice right away, but that's...
Put that away. There's so much It's
Do
raining
you not
shit.
see- Yes,
Don't catch these snowflakes.
They're
the particulates are not good.
They're coliforms, not Pokemon.
Yeah. I remember when I used to do collar forms. Put them in the oven. Those are shrinky dinks. Fuck. But yeah, they need to shut their mouths. And not just because of, not wanting to get disease, but also because of I love the audio, like the chuckle that they make, thing that they do is really unnerving and great. That they do when they see you. And because there are so many kind of blind angles and there's so much verticality to this level, you're going to be spotted before you spot enemies.
Right.
Oftentimes.
And not just the angles. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say not just the angles, but they, in a lot of places, will lie kind of on the ground as if they're dead, and really, really blend in, read the color palette that we just talked about, and come to life behind you once you've passed.
Yeah. And there are lots of one-time ambushes, too, where they'll drop down behind you from up above. Yep.
And set traps and try to drop rocks on you, which has never worked. Like, they always spring the trap way too early for me. Maybe that's supposed to be if you just go to 5-1 initially and then just run forward, you'll get hit by it. But this is a real area for remember your soul's basics. You need to be inching forward and you'll probably be okay. But and that helps you avoid the traps as well.
Yeah.
I wonder if some speedrunner has had a perfect run ended that way.
Just hitting getting the boulder dropped on his head.
Yeah. Controller throwing moment there.
Thematically, these guys are pretty cool because even though everything is kind of deteriorating because they lack souls, the dredgelings and whatnot. This game's equivalent of going hollow. This area has a huge theme of corruption, obviously, which is a little bit unique to Demon Souls, whereas Dark Souls was all about corruption in various forms, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the most malevolent twisting of what you could only assume to be human, right? Outside of this, maybe you have, the hollows, but that is a little bit more okay, you're turning into a hot dog person, or sorry, the dredgelings. And then maybe into, but those were troll people anyway. So yeah, this is real body horror kind of shit.
I think the troll people are more or less that's how they always were. I think the theme of corruption is also really present in Boletaria and Latria, but it's present like everywhere in Dark Souls. And here, I think that the Shrine of Storms and Stonefang are more or less operating as business as usual when you show up. So it's not everywhere is not corrupted, but here, this area, and this is kind of, I get the impression that this is, kind of how things were as well. It was pre-corrupted, like before shit went down.
Right.
This has just always been this way, and always will unless you choose one of those endings. So.
Yeah.
And it almost not to give away the stuff that's in the next two areas here, but that it's almost like they're making the best they can of it.
Yeah.
And ultimately this is the area that I feels like hammers home the most that you are the invading force.
Oh yeah. Like that's the kind of the point of the end boss fight of the archdemon for this. At least on paper. Like there's nothing to plunder here. Like the game just like straight up tells you like there's no reason for you to be here. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's a real Spec Opsy like moment.
Yeah. Like everything has reached a kind of perverted homeostasis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting in that I'd have to look at a big list of enemy names in order to figure out, if this is true, but they're called depraved ones, which just means like morally corrupt or wicked according to Google. So that's actually like casting a judgment on them in a way that the enemy names generally don't.
Yeah. Well, dredgling, definitely, I don't think that's a real word, but like the dredges, like it definitely kind of, gives there's an implication there, but
that like implies like patheticness. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Yeah. They probably didn't name themselves, the depraved ones to your point. Like I get the idea that this is just kind of, this is just the shithole of the world, Yeah.
And if you're poor, you must be bad.
Yeah. Yep. So you kind of make your way around. Like this area is long. Again, there are a couple of minor kind of shortcuts here, but it's not very shortcut heavy. And there are areas that it really kind of blends into itself. Like you're mostly just kind of making your way around rickety pathways or on roofs of dwellings or on dwellings themselves. And unlike the second bit, there aren't really kind of discrete homes so much here. Like that shows up in the second level. This is like an area where it's harder for me to tell what these areas, like people live here and everything, but when you contrast them with the kind of discrete apartments in 5.2, it makes me wonder what this area is used for.
Yeah. It's like this is the main highway in and out.
Yeah. And it's so like windy and everything. Like maybe they just have been building up. You have to because of space. Like they don't want to actually be literally in the swamp. And there's so little kind of land down in 5.2 that you could build up.
Can you see up? Is there any kind of skybox or is it all underground?
I've never been able to like finagle the camera to look up and actually see like over the canyon walls. So we could be, at the core of the earth for all that we know.
Well, it's raining. Yeah. So like there's definitely a sky there. But it's just so full of garbage and soot and black and Yeah,
and just like everything is just clinging to the walls, kind of like some kind of fungus or moss, right? So you get the idea that out of desperation, rising upwards, you have these little pieces of civilization. Although notably, there is no like indication that there is a path to the surface. Right.
Yeah.
Like, you're just the archstone just drops you into, as you said, Gary, a cul-de-sac or this dead end that, there's no apparent way up.
Yeah. Maybe people are living in this area for air. Like maybe it's not, it's not, there's no solid land, but maybe it just, maybe even for them it smells better. Like maybe these are recent transplants and then you get closer to the saint, the longer you are, something like that.
Yeah.
Or, maybe you have to make an offering to the saint to get into that kind of premium real estate.
Yeah.
Down in
I was going to say, as they're seeking to bring more and more souls to the saint, maybe they're expanding outwards to get more and more people.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I never thought about, because in 5.2, and I don't want to blow our load too much, but the kind of village area is guarded by those three giant depraved ones. Maybe those people are trying to keep you explicitly out of the village, and maybe they're not just trying to keep you out of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that is like kind of a protected area. You run into the kind of elite, the mage dredgling.
Yeah, the shaman.
the shaman one. So I wonder if that actually does have to do with the kind of ecology of this. But that's really casting out.
Yeah. We said very similar things about Blighttown too, honestly, and this actually has a pretty, I don't know, it's a weird echo too. So if you compare Quilog as like this recipient of everything that kind of like falls down here, to Estrella, who ends up being the recipient of everybody who just kind of walks in as well. Like these are hostile places that for some reason are a draw, and there are people who kind of take advantage of being at the center of it.
And if you compare Quelaag to Estrella, you can compare, or not Quelaag, the Fair Lady to Estrella. You can compare Quelaag to Garl Vinland.
Yep.
And they both have kind of a guardian protecting a helpless,
kind
of a spider at the center of the web. It's definitely, and one of the things about this is it just makes me wonder, like I've grown to love all my children when it comes to the Souls games. I like the Valley of Defilement. Like I like playing it. However, how much am I going to hate the equivalent in Dark Souls 2?
Yeah,
because they'll do it. Like it's coming.
That came up that came up when I was streaming this. We're recording at a weird time. Yesterday was my birthday. I was doing a birthday stream, and people are like, "So what's the area in Dark Souls 2 going to be?" And I hope and pray they do something like just that they evolve it. Like if they take the lore significance of this with none of what was in Dark Souls.
I want them to invert it. Like I want to open the door to the Princess Chamber in Anor Londo and have like a big glowing light, and then when you open the door, it's just a big pile of poop and hostility. Like play with our. Like I would love the fact that like you set up these kind of patterns, and then you have the power to invert them, and kind of similar to like with the remake. Like what it does for Resident Evil, where you expect the dogs at a point, and then they play with it. And,
Yeah.
So does Demon Souls have the equivalent of the Rust Iron Ring from Dark Souls that allows you to move around the swampy areas easily? No? Okay.
Hell no.
Say, maybe that's how you evolve it, because the Souls games are really good at giving you something that seems really hard, but in the same breath providing an item that if you know how to use it can alleviate a lot of that pain. So maybe the way to evolve is to give you the Rust Iron Ring or whatever it winds up being, make that more easily available before you get to the swamp area.
Yeah. Hover boots.
You stupid baby. Hoverboards can't go over water.
I heard them hovering.
Dark Souls 2 is really far in the future.
17 different references in one thing. Holy
really
shit.
Piled on there. I'm just going to put in the show notes a link to the Wikipedia for the word reference.
But yeah.
Yeah.
They're really crafty with some of the enemy placement here. Like they're very tricky encounters. Like that first time where you go over a gangplank and just got a couple above you, a couple off to the right, a couple off to the left. Yeah.
And there's the behind you. That's where where they do one of those I was sleeping kind of things there. Yeah. And I had a really great connected to the network moment where somebody put a behind you soapstone message, nice. And I was just like, oh yeah. Looked around and there was a guy. Like the first time I played through this, it was really great.
Yeah. And this area, at least on my first playthrough, was kind of, when I learned to stop worrying and love the bow and arrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Just because it is so useful, not just for polling, but for even just dispatching stuff before it can get to you.
The lava bow can one hit almost everything, or can one hit all the regular depraved ones and can 3-hit the giant ones. Mm-hmm. And the Emerald, who has done the new game +7 soul level 1 playthrough of this that I like a lot. They're really cool to watch, but you can't listen to them. He does all of the commentary via notation, so they're really interesting. It's like a really fun Souls pop-up video. And he plays Demon Souls like a puzzle game where it's all about just figuring out how to destroy the enemies in front of you, and in this area specifically with a bow before they can get to you. Yeah. And he just has the lava bow, and it takes multiple hits on New Game +7, but that's what he does for this too.
Yeah, I should probably go grind for a lava bow here pretty quick before I get to 5.2. I've got like a +4 quality bow. I think, but that might not be enough. Like that fire damage goes a long way here.
Yeah, the lava bow is so good.
Yeah,
and everything down here is weak to fire.
Yep.
Everything down here floats, and everything is weak to fire.
Yeah, yeah. That's because it's full of hot air. Explains both. Yeah. So you're kind of making your way down. You start kind of getting into more of the dwellings. We talked about getting the saints' clothes and everything, and mostly, like I said, this kind of runs together. Like this will be a short episode, just because of we got those generalities all the way, and it's not that long of an area. But you start running into other enemies that at first, like you're kind of lulled into a sense of security because they're just there to be creepy, which are these ticks. We're clearly kind of the infected hollows from the Painted World are definitely a reference to these things, these gigantic blood bags.
Yeah.
On these things.
Oh man, I almost forgot about those, and you put them back in my head.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
That's what these things are.
Have a nice day, Kole.
Yeah. I mean, again, like just echoing that, the Painted World is a hidden Demon Souls level,
right?
In Dark Souls, but these things are more or less harmless. Like even with if you don't use a bow and arrow, they're not. You're unlikely to get poisoned from stabbing them, and they don't attack you or do anything. Yep. They're just fatted. At this point, what I would have loved is if they would have done the ticks like actual ticks, and at some point you could get one on you, and then like have it be like the egg burdened in Dark Souls.
Oh God!
And you just see a sack of blood just gradually filling up on the side of you.
I am fucking terrified of ticks in real life.
You should be. They're awful.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like, hey, you have Lyme disease now. You're fucked for life.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not even without the disease. I'm just scared of these.
Yeah, these things you have to burn out of you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Big blood bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just disgusting. Like they just grow, like they all, grow to several times their size just on human blood. Yeah. Like it's just, it's disgusting.
Yeah, there was some class that I took like in first grade where they're like, avoid rusty things because you will get lockjaw and it is a fate worse than death. You literally have no mouth and you cannot scream.
Yeah.
And also don't run through fields because you're going to get a tick and then die slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when lockjaw was like people talked about it in school.
Yeah.
Like I had a similar experience, and we're
quaint.
6 years apart from each other or so in age. Yeah, it's crazy. 6 or 7 years, that doesn't make any sense. But there was a time where teachers were teaching you about lockjaw all the time.
Yeah. And like I know that tetanus is a real danger thing, but
yeah.
You know what? I think that in my everyday life I have more of a chance of running into a rusty nail than a tick. For as many walks as I go on, I don't really go through many grassy fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and this is in Oregon, it's really hiking country, but I don't go in for that outdoors nonsense, so I don't have to worry too much about ticks. But yeah, and I guess rusty nails either. I got the best of both worlds. Like, I run into either one.
Well,
stay inside.
Well, look at me. I'm Gary. I don't walk around construction sites.
Here's a pro tip for not getting Lyme disease or lockjaw. Don't go outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think I wear such thick boots, Gary?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think I don't leave my house except for to go to work. It's not quite true.
Oh,
So it says they can poison you. I've never actually gotten poisoned by one of them. It kind of comes across to me like you kind of have to be trying.
Yeah, I did it once this playthrough, like doing my meat cleaver guy or lady, my meat cleaver lady, and I just didn't back away quickly enough. But yeah, so it's not that you have to try; it's just that you have to not know to stay away from the blood.
Yeah,
which is I can understand. It has exfoliating properties.
Yeah. I always stay away from blood. I just haven't even had it happen to me. But like I did the meat cleaver run as a melee run. I'm doing a spear or a halberd run now, both of which are fairly long range weapons. Yeah. I imagine it's a bigger problem. Like if you're like a dagger, player, sure. You have to get up close. Yeah. So, but yeah, they're mostly just gross.
Can you imagine how many corpses they would have to take enough blood out of to get to that size?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, like several people worth.
I know I'm fixating, but we're lucky to have like a gallon of blood in us at any given time. So
Well, and at some point, like they're too big to move, so the people have to be coming to them at some point.
Whoa. I didn't even think about that. Like them feeding them as these kind of like pets. This house, this immobile dog. You just put all the blood you don't want.
Yeah.
And
if you pop them without killing them, they'll just run off and start looking for more.
Yeah.
They get knocked
Ugh.
down. Yeah.
We're creating a really gross ecology for this place.
Yes, we are.
It was already gross.
Yeah.
It's already a really gross ecology.
Speaking of
It's
gross
not,
ecology,
it's not rain. It's oh, go ahead. I was gonna say it's not rain. It's blood from ticks that were popped
like the beginning
above.
of Blade.
I was going to say giant piss. The 6th archstone leads to the top of this. Yeah. Wah. Yeah.
But speaking of blood and Blade, you run into your vendor
Yeah.
for this area. The charmingly named Filthy Woman. Nobody names themselves in
Yeah.
Valley Defile.
Yeah.
No.
So everyone just shrugs at whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Dickface now. Fine.
Slatternly vagabond. Yeah.
But yeah, she sells you lotuses, which are useful but really expensive.
Yeah.
Her proximity is really important, which I didn't really put together until this run. Through like where she's at makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
Lotus is really expensive, but the game is not fucking you over as much as you think it is if you can keep a cool head when what happens next happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she talks about her kid, which I could be misremembering this because I haven't played through 5.2 yet for the show. You don't see the kid in this one. I think when you run into her in the second one, you can see the kid and the kid is dead.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and she's making fun of my son. She wasn't, she didn't want to take care of it when she's talking about Estrella. And it's because the kid is dead.
Yeah.
Which I think is the case. I have to revisit it and look a little closer, but.
Yeah, there's so many corpses hanging all over the place in 5.2 that I didn't take notice, but you could entirely be right.
Yeah.
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
I could totally see that working too, because you get the feeling very strongly that she's kind of trying to hustle you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Her prices are real high, like not even just for those, but for the rotten arrows, which are great items. But like she is definitely trying to go after your souls in her own mercantile way.
Yeah. Yep. She's a little competing Estrella.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it tells a really interesting story, I think, in that, you have called out here, she really hates Estrella.
Yeah.
And you kind of get this feeling that she kind of had a nice little racket going where she was selling these healing items was trying to, act like Mother Teresa and turn a profit. And then Maiden Estrella comes along and is the real deal and is really helping people. And she's mad because it's throwing off her business plan.
Which is funny because she's selling medicine that actually works.
Yeah. Yeah. So much to say about religion in this game.
So much to say about religion and also like Western medicine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she's definitely jealous, and you get the sense like that she's jealous that Estrella is so pretty. Like, oh, she wears white. Just all this kind of stuff. So am I going to be the one who mentions that she brings up the Virgin Mary?
Yeah, I wish that wasn't a thing.
Me too.
And it almost seems like a line of dialogue that like the voice actor improvised and they forgot to take out.
Yeah, that's it's so incongruous. But what that means is this is merging the canons.
Yeah,
like literally. Holy shit, merging the canons.
Yeah.
And so
this is the Dark Souls 2 is going to have like an Animus style present day section.
Yeah, or it'll be like the Dark Tower where just kind of like everything has moved on, and like this is the remnants of society, but there are still these mythological figures that are alluded to in common parlance.
Yeah,
I'd be curious to see what the line is in Japanese.
So my understanding is that there actually is no Japanese voice acting. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that was the case for Dark Souls, and I believe Take was the one who wrote in and said that the reason everybody has a weird laugh is so Japanese people will be able to understand their motives behind the voice acting.
Oh, right.
Because
I remember
of different laughs say different things about different people.
So maybe the Japanese subtitles then would be maybe give a clue.
Or like just what the person who happened to be Japanese was thinking when he wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if there's any real clue for it. It just feels like a slip.
Yeah.
I just don't it might as well be Maiden Estrella thinks she's fucking George Washington.
Yeah. Hanging down there with all these leeches. You know, George Washington, he was all about these leeches. I'm Frank Fontaine.
Yeah, maiden astray and thinks she's Mother Goose.
Well, that didn't take long. I'm just going to stop my stopwatch here.
Okay, we've been recording for 1 hour and 20 seconds as of the time I finished the sentence.
Yep. It's just a metric for every episode is time until Frank Fontaine.
Ratio.
We're Frank Fontaine-iacs. Yeah.
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 We got Adam in our slacks.
But she's real canny. Location.
Yeah.
Because she's above a rat's king of rats. Yeah, a rat king of rats. There we go.
Yes. If you or a king of rats, if that's not the name for a group of rats traveling together, it should be. These rats, which like I've always shot them from a distance. Like it just always, even on my first playthrough when I was just doing melee stuff, or when I was a sorcerer, like that's how I was dealing with everything. So I didn't know what the big deal was for my first playthrough. And then when I did my meat cleaver one was the first time these guys got me. So there are rats just below her that head right towards you and instantly give you plague, which is like turbo toxic.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is so intense and so quick. And like, it's just to make you panic. Mm-hmm. Like there's a merchant right above you that will fix you. These are the only enemies that cause plague that other than the plague babies, that they ran into later. But it's so just designed to freak you out, you know. And
even then though, with the merchant right above, if you remember to go there, at least I'm remembering, it takes you down so fast that you kind of have to strategize going through her menus. Like you got to heal right before you do it, and then go in and know exactly what you want to buy, and then go straight to your inventory and use it to get it in before it just takes all your health down. Yeah,
because it's so quick. It's like it's way faster than toxic.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. Does toxic reduce your the effectiveness of your healing items like plague does?
No.
Okay.
No, just I don't think so. Just plague does that.
Yeah.
Which is weird that it's used so infrequently in this game.
Yeah.
Like I wish there would have been an enemy in another world that did it as well. And it's such a weird status effect.
Yeah.
Especially because the not to jump too far ahead, but you can use the wriggling demon soul to get cure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which insta cures everything. Really, the only thing that you would need that for or have it be useful for is plague. Everything else you kind of have enough time to deal with. And I made the mistake of going with that. Which, unless I felt like just going back here for shits and giggles,
for shits and to watch Dr. Giggles.
Yeah, for shits and gurgles, really.
Shits and gurgles.
For shits and dribbles, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so two things here that I've been furiously Googling during this. So collective nouns, I have an enthusiasm for them. Rats, it is a colony, a horde, a mischief, a pack, a plague, or a swarm.
Jeez, pick one.
I know, right?
Plague is the only good one.
Yeah, plague of rats.
Plague of rats.
Yeah,
I don't like any collective noun that can refer to another group of things.
True.
Swarm can be anything.
A mischief. I like a mischief of rats.
I think of rats as being grosser than that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think of them. I mean, like pet rats are adorable, but in actual, if you run into a city rat, that's no good.
Yeah.
So
you could have a mischief of like guinea pigs.
Yeah. You have a mischief of street urchins. You have a mischief of artful dodgers. That's what you get.
A mischief of Tiny Tims.
Yeah, a mischief of Mr. McPixelix. Mr. is McPixelix. But not a mischief of rats.
Yeah. Second, so her position in front of these rats is a real hard sell. It's kind of like the 2001 movie Rat Race, starring John Cleese, Whoopi Goldberg, Rowan Atkinson, Cuba Gooding Jr., Seth Green. The list goes on, but there's a character who will send people down a dead-end road if they don't buy a squirrel. And at the end, there's a sign that says, "You should have bought a squirrel." Yeah. So... yeah, just
I'm sure that's what they were.
Congratulations if you watched that movie.
Yeah, if you, yeah.
Cool.
I remember. I
don't think
the poster for that movie being in front of Kings Island when it was still Paramount Park, and have never heard of that movie before. Have never seen anything about it since.
Except now, here it is.
Yeah, here it is.
Yep. So there we go.
Cole's seen it.
Yep. Deep catalog on bad comedies, you guys. So.
stay tuned next week for when Kole shoehorns in 8 heads in a duffel bag.
So it's going to be a short episode.
Rats.
Come on.
Oh, sorry.
So.
The rats are super frustrating because anything except for like an overhead attack is going to miss them.
Yeah. Or like an arrow, but if you're actually doing a melee attack, they do have an incredibly small hitbox.
Which adds to that sense of panic because you know, you finally think you've got it lined up, you got it under control, and you just miss.
Yeah.
And with something like the meat cleaver, then you know you've got to wind up to get back and do anything. So.
And your only area of attack spells are way too powerful for you to have at this point. You know, like really like either Wrath of God or the equivalent here, or like Firestorm, like something that'll take all of them out. So you really have to be, you're walking on eggshells here. It's incredibly precise. Are
you in danger of hitting the filthy woman if you do that?
If you do an area attack?
I don't believe
how far down is it?
It's not very far down, but I don't, I feel like Wrath of God maybe. I think Firestorm sends jets of flames from the floor, and it keys to the level that you're on. So, so if you're down near the rats, it'll just get the rats.
Yeah.
Wrath of God might hit her though. I don't know if the area effect is like Dark Souls and the area effect is too small. If it's bigger though, it might.
Yeah.
I've never used it because, I'm just not gonna miracles.
Miracles in this game are useless.
You know what I did? Let me throw this out there real quick because there's not another place to put it. I was, started putting some points in, intelligence and faith because I wanted to do second chance for this run for no good reason. I didn't really need it. And I accidentally ate the fucking soul because it's the hero demon soul, which is so close to like a hero's soul. Ooh. And it gives you that little warning, that little do you want to eat this soul? But I'm just like, click, click, because I have 1,000 like soul items to use. And I ate it, and I was just so mad that there's not like a save function. Like I get it, why there's not, but it's the first time where I made like that kind of mistake. And it doesn't matter, but I just wish I could have those like 6 lives back that I put into preparing for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that sucks.
Buh. So that was frustrating. I went, no, on my TV.
Have you ever taken a dive at the console to try and turn it off in time?
No.
Yeah.
No. I definitely could have done that, but
I did
not do it.
I did it successfully once in Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People do it, speedrunners do it constantly if you fall off of a pit.
Oh, yeah?
That's let's see speedrunners. They have that like they don't dive the console, but they do it through the Xbox button on the controller, and they have it down to a science. Like the motions required to restart or go back to title screen.
Yeah, I probably could have done it through the controller. However, I was so panicked that a dramatic gesture seemed appropriate.
Yeah. So then we start running into the giant depraved ones here.
Yeah.
Which are
talk about a double whammy. You get through the rats finally.
Yeah.
And then this guy shows up.
So with the lava bow, it's 3 shots. With the lava bow, and you can usually get them they tend to be on bottlenecks. Yeah. So if you draw them and then just hit them while they are coming towards you, then you can usually take them out fairly easily. The playthroughs where I didn't have that, these guys are fucking, like in the second, the areas with them in 5.2 were a huge stopping point for me.
Yeah.
Even here, I died several times to them my first time through because I just didn't know to do it. Take care of them from a distance. Like they're fucking tough and they pack a wallop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ate the soul for the lava bow just ignorantly before I knew what I was doing, so I had to play without it. And these guys are the worst.
Yeah,
no.
Man, and especially they fucking kill me.
Oh yeah, but this first one they very intentionally play with perspective. Like I very distinctly remember the first time I encountered one. This is way back. 4 years ago or whatever, the first time I played the game, where it's almost like you see it coming at you, you know something's wrong, you realize it's bigger, but you like can't process what's happening until the club's coming down on you. It's just one of those like, you can do a double take and then a triple take and then you're dead.
Yeah. That still gets me if I try to do a ranged range battle with this guy because I never am quite sure when to stop and run away.
Yeah.
And so much of these games is about managing enemies' distance from you and knowing their attack radius versus your attack radius. And here it's just, for some reason, everything is flattened.
Yeah. Yep.
In general, when I go to first person view in this game, I get very, very insecure in my depth perception. I'm always very worried about that, and I always wind up backing out way before I need to.
Have you seen the first person mods for Dark Souls?
No.
Oh yeah, it looks unplayable.
Yeah, they're worth watching though.
Yeah, to get sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at least here you have a slight chance of being able to dodge their attacks. For as narrow as these areas are, and if they get too close to the filthy lady, they will attack her. I've read just because of their overhead attacks will clip through the floor and get her. But later on, you don't have any chance to move, and only with a shield am I able to even absorb one of their blows.
Yeah,
I'm curious. Do they seek the filthy woman if they get close enough? Will they intentionally go after her, or is it just confined space and kind of wide swing means that she's going to get got?
I've never been unfortunate enough to have that happen. So
okay.
I couldn't tell you if they go right for it. They seem pretty fixated on me. They have a real single track mind vis-a-vis me being dead. So
yeah, they're single issue voters.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting if they did do that, just because it would play into. I can't think of other NPCs that have anything like that. And it's almost like it's that shit, he'll get her. Like they kind of recognize her as this rip-off person. It's like the snake oil. Yeah, snake oil salesman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, but it does it violates one of those Dark Souls rules where if something is moving, it's coming towards you and it's going to kill you, and you have to you kind of have to just be aware of that. And it's what stops you from killing every NPC you run into.
Yeah.
If NPCs had agency against each other, you would see somebody moving and attack them. Yeah. It's part of the weird roguelike nature, the tiny little bit of roguelike DNA in this is that it's so set and the rules are so if something is moving, it's seen you, and it's
I just thought of what's the pretentious magic knight dude who you find in 1-1, or is it 1-2?
Oh,
Ostrava.
Yeah, Ostrava.
Ostrava, yeah, that's the only other thing I can think of because they'll go after him even if they haven't seen you, right?
Oh, they are going when you run into him. They are going after him, but he is up on the wall. Yeah,
and then
so who knows?
Yeah,
they're kind of circling. So I guess the implication is that they do want to attack him, but they just can't get to him.
Yeah,
yeah, giant depraved ones. Fuckers. As you get a bit further down, you start seeing some grosser stuff like the maggots covering the walls in certain areas, eating stuff off the walls, maggots on the floor, maggots everywhere.
Just writhing walls of leeches, just shimmering in the fetid light.
Yeah. Fucking nasty. And there's the little rooftop area right before the end where you have to kind of drop down. And there's an ambush down there, and it's impossible to attack the enemies from up above. That is also tricky.
Yeah.
I tend to run to a corner and then just corner up. Don't worry about attacking when I first get down there because these guys will chain you pretty easily.
Is that here or is that earlier where there's the ladder that you just kind of have to drop down and there's the rooftop fight? And
you're right. It's earlier, and there's a false. There's not just the ladder. There's also a breakaway floor.
Yeah. That's actually in my first run here. That was one of my biggest bottlenecks was trying to manage that encounter.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you play as a royal because you can't hit them from a distance and you probably don't have a good shield.
Right.
Or
you're not incredibly durable, and and the collision detection getting through those slats in the ceiling is very undependable. So you end up wasting some mana, which is not a huge deal as a royal because you can just get it back. But I even noticed it here with arrows too.
Yeah.
So I just thought, are there any ranged guys in this?
Not in this level.
No.
Because I think every other area has a ranged enemy. The skeletons, archers in 1, the fat officials in 2. So this might be the only area that doesn't have some kind of ranged enemy.
Yeah. If they had ranged ones, they would be like the blow dart guys. And
don't give them my ideas.
Please.
Take it back. I take it back.
I mean they're the shaman in the second one, so those guys are kind of ranged.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but not in 5-1. There's nothing.
And it feels merciful here, just because it is so vertical, and just because there is such tricky footing. Like it seems like a cheap shot that they pulled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you make your way down, and you eventually you make your way into the chamber with the Leechmonger.
The purveyor of leeches. I love that.
Yep, he's the guy who gives leeches.
Yep.
He is a big, gross, like pile tree creature made of leeches.
He looks like a Resident Evil boss, like a latter-day Resident Evil, like Zero and Beyond.
Yeah, he does. And not just because he has leeches.
Well, yeah.
But
Is there a person or is there an entity under there? Or is it just all leeches all the way down?
So, Urbane talks about various knights that came with Estrella to join her here. Mm-hmm. And my kind of the thought that I was entertaining, I have nothing to base this on, was that kind of like in Boletaria, 1-1 through 1-4, or rather 1-3, that these demons were corrupted versions of those, but I have nothing to base that on whatsoever.
The only thing that that lends support to that is that you can make that cure spell from his soul.
Right.
So maybe it was a cleric. At some point, and its soul maintains this healing power. And
it's even in the description for that spell that it's the countersign to the poison and plague that's here.
Yeah, so why it would make sense for a cleric to bring the countersign.
Yeah, and also let us revel in the appropriateness of the leech providing the cure.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll buy it. That's what it was. The some YouTube lore star who I can't remember is talking about how in most of the areas you fight the kind of regent of an area eventually, and you fight Main Estrella, but she definitely came later, into this area, and you don't actually fight the kind of the king, of this area other than Maiden Estrella. Yeah. And both the other bosses you run into are kind of too mindless to be that. Like they both seem like, just kind of beasts. Especially this one, but even the next guy, the unclean idol, or
the dirty Colossus.
Yes, the worst sex move in X-Men history.
No, the fast ball special.
It's funny because this
I
is
heard
the
you got with Quicksilver last night. That was a fast ball special. I'm excited.
Oh no.
This is the Archstone of the Chieftains, right? And so it does imply there is some sort of structure here.
Yeah.
But you never really, like you said, you never really find that structure.
Yeah, nothing that's appropriate to it. Like, it could just be one of the kings got corrupted into this pile of leeches or got corrupted into a dirty colossus, but there's just nothing there that, that really shows that. Mm-hmm. This guy is kind of the pinwheel of this game.
Yeah.
I've never died to him. So if you look up the stream, you'll notice in this run through for the show, I walked right off of the top ledge, thinking that I was going to jump onto the walkway down instead of going left. I was like straight out, and I died. And wasted a black turpentine doing that.
Oh, great.
Well, that's you come in way high up, right? And it almost has this promise of like an adjudicator style boss fight.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But he can't get to you for a long time, and it's just saying like shoot this guy with arrows. Like you will win. Shoot him with arrows.
Especially with the lava bow. Shit.
Yeah, he's so weak. It's so quick. And this time I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do range combat. I'm going to go up and fight him just because fuck it. And it's still so easy. Like he hit me several times, and it does like 25% of my damage. Now, admittedly, like I'm going through this world last, so I'm pretty high level. Mm-hmm. But he's so weak, and this guy is not a challenge at all. Like there are things to like about the fight. Like I like the arena a lot, and I like the idea that he draws these leeches into himself to heal. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that, but his healing should be much quicker, and he should, he just needs to be buffed.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there could be like a rebalance patch for this guy.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. I mean, I don't think this is the way it is, but like going with the idea that this is a knight that has kind of fallen down here, that you've kind of happened upon someone that is just being overrun by these leeches, and the boss fight is trying to kill him as he's like kind of casting about and flailing, just covered. So he's not really completely in control. He's not even overtly hostile to you, but he's just in
the leeches are.
Yeah, the leeches are, exactly.
Yeah, and like his most devastating attacks are kind of fits, right? Like he just kind of goes berserk and then does like a bunch of hits at where he thinks you are, which he telegraphs his attacks like Edison. Like it's just really, really blatant what he's going to do. So, like if you are a royal or a sorcerer or anybody who has access to the fireball spell, like good night. But like even with a rain, like my turpentine ran out before I got to him. But like so, just with my meat cleaver, it took like 8 attacks and he was down.
Yeah, he's so easy.
Yeah.
All the bosses in this world are easy.
Yeah.
Actually easy to defeat. Like they're cool, but they're easy.
Yeah, and 5-1 kind of stands in like direct opposition to Blighttown. In that here this is the easy part of the overall world. Whereas the vertical portion of Blighttown is really, really hard. Compared to the relatively benign swamp, right?
Right. Whereas 5-2 I think is harder than 5-1.
Yeah.
In Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting to the bottom of all the scaffolding in Blighttown only to find a boss?
Like at the actual bottom.
Like right as you get into the swamp, you hit a boss.
Well, I told the story on the Blighttown episode of the first season, but I had Black Phantom Invader there, right at the bottom, and I sent him a message and like begged him to leave me alone.
That's right. Yeah.
I just listen, this was really hard, and just this game's easy, was his response, because there's no such thing as kindness in this world. But he was a real dick about it. And,
so again, just because there's no other place to put this, I never check my messages on PlayStation, and I've turned off the notifications for them, so I just always forget that they're there. And every once in a while, I'll just go in to clear out my message box, and we'll have all of these like hostile messages pent up from the people that have invaded me. And it's just funny going through and trying to remember what encounter this might have been. But it's like you're a pussy, and then WTF, bro, and good game, let's do this again, or just like a whole bunch of weird stuff left over from invasions past.
Yeah, I was invaded for the first time here last night. Here in Demon Souls, anyway, invaded in Demon Souls for the first time. I was running to the Shrine of Storms to get some more arrows for this level, and I was walking back, and I was delighted because there's a fog door here. I'm going to be invaded, and I came out victorious, and it was a relatively easy fight. The guy had like a scraping spear, but like we were in the hallway, so I was just able to like juke him a little bit. And when I was done, like I just wrote him a message saying, "Hey, good fight." And he was like, "Thanks, you too." It's like, like let's everybody. If you encounter somebody, send them a nice message.
Yeah, that's how when I was doing my PvP stuff for Dark Souls, I was so nice.
Yeah.
And just dropping stuff for people left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so you beat the Leechmonger, you get a soul. We talked about getting Cure. You can get the Poison Cloud spell, which those spells are actually crazy overpowered and great in Demon Souls in a way that they aren't in Dark Souls.
Right.
Like they're actually really, really good. Kind of surprisingly. And I used them a lot in my first playthrough in 1-3. Just, where I could see a couple of enemies around a corner but couldn't quite get to them. Yeah. So I just spit some poison and let nature do its work.
Yeah. How long do they take to go into effect? Because I know they do 5 damage at a time, but...
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being too bad. And there's a better Poison Cloud spell that I also got. There's like Plague Cloud or Toxic Cloud or something like that you get later.
The area of effect stuff I've never had really be, or not area of effects over time stuff. I've never had be strong enough to be worthwhile. Like 5 damage every couple of seconds is not much.
Yeah, well, my first trip through 1-3, which like is one of my favorite levels in this game, like was just really white knuckle for me, and I was using any tactic I could get for it. So
So do you have to then just actively wait them out? Because what would always happen is I'd poison them, but then the fight would conclude before.
Yeah. I would poison them before the fight started. Like they couldn't see me, I could see them.
Yeah.
And then I would poison them. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Because it goes through walls and it clips through floors and all that jazz. So you can get people from a distance. In either case though, and this guy gives you 9,000 souls or something like that. You don't get very much from this guy. Like he's meant to be an early boss. It's kind of that a little bit like Catacombs, where it's super easy boss, really hard level, but the boss is appropriate to coming here way earlier than you're probably going to actually do.
What I would like to do, this would just be about maybe 20 minutes of wiki work. Would be to go and see the soul reward for every demon. And also the reward for using their items to maybe try and divine like whatever order they intended for you to go at them at.
That would take less than 20 minutes.
Oh yeah,
like I would do that pretty quick. And they are kind of appropriate to the difficulty. Archdemons always give you tons of souls, even if they're the Storm King or the Dragon God, and they're not actually objectively that difficult.
Yeah,
but the
yeah. I would just wonder what the disparity between those would be.
Yeah, but especially though with the difficulty wall of the giant depraved ones, I can't imagine that they intended you to come here too early.
No, I don't think they did either. But it's just kind of the weird, like there are elements of it as if they had, especially with a boss that has, sound concepts to them, but just the numbers aren't big enough. He just needs to do more damage, have more hit points, heal faster, and he could be a really cool race against time. They haven't done an enemy that actually regenerates, and that hasn't been the concept of an enemy. And maybe it was tested, and it turned out not to be fun. But the idea of, Dark Souls is so much about like picking your moment and knowing when to back off, having that kind of time pressure of, well, I've done this much damage. If I don't keep the heat on, he's going to die. And the closest thing to that is the Four Kings, but they don't actually get their health back. The fight just becomes more
Maiden
hellish.
Estrella heals though, right?
She can heal herself, but she does it so slowly. Like it's not the concept of the boss fight. Like Garlvinian is Garlvinian and Guilt are the twin concepts of the boss fight. So like a fight, if the Leechmonger just healed faster, I think he can only heal like 20% of his health too. That's what I read. Huh. So it's an ineffectual, little move, but it'd be cool if he did it quickly. Give you the opportunity to retreat because of the arena, but there's consequences to retreating.
Right.
So. Yeah. Anywho, let's talk tendency.
Yeah. So you can get one of the really kind of like powerful, unique items in the game if you have a very specific build. We've kind of alluded to the fact that Faith is relatively useless in this game, unless you have either the Meat Cleaver or one to have only one or two spells that are useful to you. But the how do you pronounce this?
Istarel?
Yeah, Istarel spear, which it's one of the few unique spears that you even get, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks badass.
Yeah,
it scales with faith. It protects you against poison, and then it also is he's one of the heroes that Saint Urbain mentioned.
Right,
was Istarel, Isaiah, who has the Istarel spear.
Yep, it's a place, Liziah of Istarel.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like the Lucerne, which is actually a place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real good spear that I've never picked up. Because it's a very specific build that you want to have high faith and want to use a spear.
Yeah.
And,
which, it makes sense because spears are just inherently defensive weapons. It makes a little bit more sense than, the Moonlight Sword? Or this game's version of the Moonlight Sword, which scales with faith over intelligence, unlike in Dark Souls, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then, as per usual, Black Tendency, there's some extra Black Phantoms.
Yeah. Which, here I could say that fucking you up a little bit more just because... just the inconvenience factor. And yeah. Are
they giant depraved ones or just depraved ones?
Just regular, just the regular kind.
I think some Black Phantom ones show up in 5 too, but I could be wrong about that.
But the depraved ones still hit pretty hard, especially if they have those spears, the ones that are on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get to say this earlier, but it's really funny. Everything in the game moves in a funny way, but they fight like someone who's got is just really, really sick and can barely work up the energy to swing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is just a nice little touch for the Valley of Defilement.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, this episode is brought to you by Audible.com. In order to get your free audiobook trial or other piece of audio entertainment, go to audibletrial.com/bonfireside chat. It's a huge help for the show and the network. Thanks. What are we doing next time?
Well, next time we are heading further into the depths of the Valley of Defilement to get our feet wet and encounter the fabled Maiden Estrella, who we've alluded to several times this episode.
And we will be joined by Vivian.
Yes.
Our friend Vivian, who joined us during our last season as well, to talk about Izalith and the Demon Ruins.
Yeah.
She was talking about how fitting it is that she is only on for the kind of the worst areas of the game, in her words. But she has a lot of interesting things. She and I have talked about Maiden Estrella, and she has interesting and strong opinions.
Yeah.
About that, and is kind of a lore expert in general.
Yep.
So,
and it'll be fun to commiserate and spew some bile about this bile-filled area.
Yeah. Because 5.2 was my wall for a really long time in this game. So I'm looking forward to complaining about that. In a couple weeks. Until then, Dennis, what do you have to plug?
Sure. Another show on the network called The Level. And this has been going on under various names. Well, I guess by which I mean one other name. For God, going on like 6 years now. Is that a long ass time?
That's fair to say. Yeah.
Yeah, but it really kind of started out as a radio show pioneered by Kole that kind of gradually pulled all of us friends together, and we use it as kind of a poker night to hang out with each other, but also talk about video games we've been playing, interesting things we've seen in the news. Generally, we try to focus on the experience of playing games and kind of games as an evolving medium for art. Versus, reviews or anything like that. But we cover a little bit of everything and have a good time doing it. So, if you like the treatment that, that these guys give to Bonfireside Chat, to Watch Out for Fireballs, we're kind of a less focused, more modern version of that.
Mm-hmm. Like a zoomed out. We provide zoom levels of all kinds.
Yeah.
On the network.
That's a great way to phrase it.
Yeah.
I think audio magazine is the other term.
Yeah, it's a good show. You should check it out.
Yeah, and I'm on Twitter at @dfuria, so you can find me there as well. Tell me how all my opinions today were wrong.
Another way to tell us how Dennis's opinions were wrong would be to go to Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yeah.
And for next time.
Yeah.
Or any of our opinions.
And specifically Dennis, but any of ours. No. There's still plenty of time to respond about 5.2 and 5.3. We know you have opinions about them. So,
And we're very close to announcing what we're doing for season 3 of the show.
Yeah.
We've hinted at it a couple times, but we're not taking a break between Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2. Mm-hmm. We're doing a really neat, kind of different thing for that. And I think we're going to talk about it either in the end, like the False King episode, because we're going to start talking about it so people can prepare. So a couple episodes down the road, we're going to start to explicitly lay out what that's going to look like. Mm-hmm. And we're really excited about it.
Yeah,
it's going to be different for us and different for you. And different for my cat. Yeah, and different. And my cat has a follow-up question about dinner. If you like me and Kole, we do Watch Out for Fireballs, which Dennis mentioned, and Abject Suffering, game about good video games and bad video games, respectively. Mm-hmm. Kole does another show called Those Damn Ross Kids with his brother, which is currently on hiatus due to real life, but it won't be forever, and has a rich and fertile, evergreen archive for you to plunder.
Yes. And that's just about how all of Cole's opinions are wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There are things for you to plunder here.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man, I am just the worst. But if you like Gary, you can check It Out, Comrade, which is a show that he does with Nick Glauber, a guest on Bonfireside Chat here, where they do quick pitches for indie games, actual extant video games. And the neat thing is they save the spoilers for the end. So if you're on the fence about something like, say, Amnesia: Machine for Pigs or the Stanley Parable, then you can listen to them talk about it, and then once you played it, come back for the story junk.
Yeah, and the show is in its infancy, so it definitely can use any support that you're willing to give it. So go give it a shot if you like it. Do the iTunes thing, like it on Facebook, do all that
So
jazz. It's very helpful.
I have tried it and I do like it, but it's getting my OCD really bad because all of the episodes show up as half listened to because I'm saving the spoiler stuff.
Oh.
So there's this completionist in me that's like, no,
You have to
finish.
You have to do one for a game you finished. I think we have spoiler sections for Stanley Parable and Shadowrun Returns for episodes 3 and 4. So if you've played either of those games, you can go to the end.
No.
If not,
what was your first one?
it was Brothers and Papers, Please.
Yeah. So
play Brothers, man. Brothers is like
Yeah.
2.5 hours, and it's so good.
I've heard.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think after listening to the show, I might go do that. And then, not that there's much to spoil in Papers, Please, but I've heard that recommended from multiple sources. So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so far, I've for the one episode that's been out so far. Although by the time this comes out, will there be another one?
Yep. The other one comes out
Okay.
day after tomorrow in time of recording. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Okay,
thank
cool.
you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
look,
good
we're into it. And Kole, we're going to have guests on from the network. Kole is on an upcoming episode. Dennis is going to be on an upcoming episode, and there will be other guests as well. So yeah, we're going to try to make it more of an inclusive thing.
Yep. And The Pitch, which is a show that Gary does with Brayden, another former guest. It's wrapping up here pretty quick, but you can go check out all of it. Its entire run is stellar.
Yeah, and by the time you listen to this, I think it actually will have been wrapped up.
Yes.
So we'll put out a call for it, but we're going to do just like a call for questions or anything and do one final kind of post-mortem on it. But it is a 50-episode self-contained thing. That is over, but I'm very happy with it. And then pilot season, which is a variety show. I do. So
cool. Yep. So if you want to support the network, you can rate and review all of our stuff on iTunes, specifically this show too, but all those other things. And if you're going to be doing any holiday shopping, check out Duckfeed.tv/tipjar and use the Amazon link there. That helps cover the non-trivial hosting costs for these episodes.
It's a big help. It doesn't cost you anything. So definitely do it. Tell your friends to do it. And there's a smattering of some kind of premium episodes and stuff that are on sale as well.
Yeah.
All
stores
concrete ways to support the network. So all appreciated.
Cool. Awesome. So I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dennis.
Oh, my pleasure. This has been great.
Yeah. Thanks, Dennis. So until next time.
Please rate this message because I'm in trouble.
So the world might be mended. Umbasa.
There we go.
That's good, Basa.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon